Welcome to another episode of A Lap Around the League. For this week's family updates, we've got some cute kids. Here's Philip Forsberg and his cute baby Felix, and here's Felix in his pants. Here are two of Marchessault's kids in their junior Preds gear. Here's Eric Holla skating with his youngest, and here's his oldest pushing his youngest in a stroller. Here's Shea Theodore with his wife, Mariana, and their son, Wesley. And lastly, here's William Karlsson and his family, his wife, Emily, and their two sons, Beckham and Maxwell, with Santa. We saw a pretty big trade this last week. The Rangers traded Kaapo Kakko to the Kraken in exchange for Will Borgen and a 2025 third round and sixth round pick. Yikes. The Rangers are in free fall and everyone knows it. Moving on to the calls, starting with this weird one. Vegas scored, but the refs called no goal on the ice due to goaltender interference, and let's take a look. Stone, number 61, comes in through the crease and comes into contact with Skinner here, with his right skate and stick. Then he ceases contact and leaves the crease completely, and now here comes the puck. So the question is, did this contact impede Skinner from defending his goal? The Knights thought no and challenged the call on the ice. After a relatively short review, the refs came back and said there was no goaltender interference and it was a good goal. It's so interesting that this ref was initially so sure that this was goalie interference that he immediately waved off the goal. But in other cases of much more egregious goalie interference, the goal stands even after a challenge. Like here, and here, and here, and here. Oh well. This next one was interesting. We saw Eichel skate up behind Ekholm in the corner. Eichel gives him a little shove and Ekholm goes into the boards. Ekholm certainly doesn't try to stay on his skates. Maybe that's just the way he thought it would be best to go into the boards by bending his legs like this, or maybe he was trying to sell it. Because you look at something like this, Celebrini getting boarded, and this had no call? The Eichel one was weird because there was initially no call, and then there was a call, and then it cut to commercials, and when they came back, Eichel was back on the bench, so they ultimately decided there was no wrongdoing. Who knows? Now this one was so obvious. I can't believe they missed it. Off the faceoff, McKinnon races for the puck, but the Pred, number 36, falls and puts a stick in McKinnon's path. Nate falls in the middle of the ice, and there's an official right there, but no call is made. Oh well. Here we see McTavish score. He snaps the puck past Graves and then gets slammed into him by Provorov. Even though the contact was because he was pushed, McTavish got 2 minutes for goaltender interference. With an unfair call like this, you can only hope the team can kill the penalty and move on, but of course, the Blue Jackets scored on their power play. But the Ducks did come back to win the game in overtime, so maybe justice was served. The goalie interference calls never end, so here we go. Soderblom is outside the blue paint and the Islander comes across and knocks his stick. Yes, Soderblom is set and has established his position, but this position was outside of the blue paint. The Islander is allowed to skate there. He makes contact with the end of the goalie's stick here, but it's Soderblom's fault for not being in his blue paint. The Blackhawks challenged it, but it was very quickly confirmed as a good goal. And here's another. Carrier backs into the blue paint, making a bit of contact with Merzlikins. He moves to the right just in time for the puck to go through and right into the net. Does this contact impede Elvis from defending his net? I would say no, but again, I go back to consistency. If we look back at this case, which was called as no goal, I would argue that there was similar or even less contact, yet this was called as no goal and this was called as a good goal. And interestingly enough, there was another challenge just a minute later. The Blue Jackets challenged a Carolina goal again, but this time for a hand pass prior to the goal. Off the faceoff, a Hurricane bats a puck down with his glove and it hits his stick twice before going to a teammate. Based on the rule book, I would say this isn't a hand pass because after he bats it down with his hand, it goes off his stick. twice, but the verdict was no goal. How do they disallow this goal but not the last one? The contact with the goalie certainly had more impact on the goal than this, quote, hand pass did. If the puck went straight off his glove into a teammate, sure, that's a hand pass, but it didn't. It makes contact with the stick not once, but twice. All right, here's the last goalie interference call of the week. The Panthers challenged this goal by the Wild. Rossi comes through the crease and knocks Bobrovsky's arm. Now, the goal came right after that contact, so did Bob have a chance to reset and properly defend his net? Bob takes a weird stumble that you might initially think is the result of the contact by Rossi, but here you can see that the puck is tipped, and I think Bob was trying to adjust his positioning to account for that redirection, but it was too late. The refs ultimately thought this contact prevented Bob from doing his job and the goal was disallowed, which I agree with. If you knock a goalie in his crease right before the goal should be disallowed, which we saw here today but haven't always seen. Later that game, the Panthers had a goal disallowed for offsides, which was pretty straightforward, unlike some other cases. Now, this hit on Jack Hughes by Pacioretty was questionable. There was definitely contact with the head, and Pacioretty definitely could have let up a bit. And if it was someone like Reeves who had laid this hit, people would absolutely lose their minds. And a few days later, Pacioretty laid this hit on Maverick Bourque, which would be fine except for he gets his stick up high at the end. That definitely should have been a high sticking call. Now on to the struggles. Here we see a very unfortunate moment for Luke Hughes. The puck goes off his face and right into the net. Could you have worse luck than that? And you don't see this too often either. Konechny went to score on the near-empty net, but his teammate, rookie Matvei Michkov, was right in the way and the puck deflected up and out. And this was scary. Michael McCarron got cut up high by his skate, but luckily it hit him more at the jaw level and not the neck level. So it could have been worse, but it was still very scary. What's a week without a goalie oops? The Knights are on the penalty kill and they clear the puck down the ice. Skinner goes to retrieve it behind his net, standard stuff, but here comes Brett Howden. Ooh, quite aggressive. All right, Stewart, better be careful here. Wouldn't want to give up a shorthanded goal. Oh, what was that? What was he thinking? Not good, Stewart. We see this every so often and it's funny every time. Austin Matthews lost a blade during play, but luckily his teammates gave him some help getting back to the bench. Good stuff. This was a major struggle. The Sabres lost 13 straight games. They finally got a win against the Islanders on December 23rd, their first win since November 23rd. Yikes. And to cap off the struggles, here's Mason Marchment, who had a tough time during the Stars game against the Leafs. He gets cross-checked, goes down to the ice, the puck lands on his neck, and then here, when he tries to get up, his stick breaks and he falls back down. This was not Mason's day. And here are some things that were fun to see. Quinton Byfield's got moves. Watch as he breaks Schneider's ankles to assist on Fogel's goal. Wow. Now this is wicked. Rantanen hounds number 7 on the Preds, forces the turnover, feeds McKinnon, and in classic McKinnon fashion, he shows off a fancy move and pops the puck in the back of the net. It's hard to outdo the moose and the dog. And for another forced turnover, here's Kadri stripping the puck from Kulikov. He dangles and scores. Ice cold. Stuff like this is always so incredible to see. Insane displays of talent and awareness. The Avs are coming up ice on an odd man rush. McKinnon feeds Lehkonen the puck because he has an easier entry into the zone. But Nate is ahead of Lecky, so he has to stretch his back leg as much as possible to stay on sides. And good thing he did, since Lecky skated right up and put the puck in the back of the net. A bar-down beauty. Bedard pulls moves like this almost every game now, so this is nothing new, but it's always fun to see. This no-look pass to Teravainen is nasty work. He totally sells it, causing Sorokin to get over too late on Teravainen's shot. It's always a treat to watch Mitch Marner skate. He makes this look so effortless, bringing the puck between his own legs and passing it to Tavares. Art. That's all for this week's video. Thanks for watching.